Hello and welcome to Positive Fandom. I am your host, and we have Mikeylito again with us today. How are
Hey,
you,
everybody.
Mikeylito?
I'm doing fine. RM, how are you doing?
I am doing very well.
Fantastic.
Good to see you again, Mikeylito.
Oh, I'm always here rummaging around the basement doing something.
Well, today, of course, we're going to be talking about the new Ms. Marvel trailer. And, there's a number of reasons why you and I wanted to get back onto this topic. And I think we both agree that, this is sort of one of those groundbreaking characters that have come out. And there's a lot to talk about her in addition to the trailer and some other things about Miss Marvel. And assuming that many of you who are going to watch this or are watching this, you guys have already seen the trailer for Miss Marvel. It would be great to get your opinions too. So if you happen to check in, it'd be great to see you. Hello to you, single songwriter. I hope you are well tonight.
Howdy.
I'm trying to share. Let's see. Yes. Hey, single songwriter. Thank you for the thumbs up. Thank you so much for that. We do appreciate that. And we're glad that you are here. Um, so, Mikey, you and I have been talking about Miss Marvel, and we've kind of exchanged some ideas about Miss Marvel and the direction that we think it's going. There's so much to consider, in particular with this particular character. What are your general thoughts about this character when you first found out that not only was she going to be, let's say, in the Avengers game, but that she would be getting her own series? What were your thoughts of that, Mikey?
Well, I'm always excited to see what Kevin Feige is going to do next. And by the way, I listened to yesterday's stream, so if I fall off the map with this microphone, just slap me around a little bit. Um, I always like seeing diverse characters in the MCU because the world is a diverse place with all different kinds of people. So to see a Muslim character being introduced into the Marvel Cinematic Universe is really interesting to me, and I'm interested in seeing how the Marvel team handles it. Uh, I like the trailer very much, and don't really know much about the character because I am the representative of the general audience. I am the person who, like most of the general audience, just tunes into Disney Plus to be entertained. So, regardless of whether it's a character that I know very strongly, like Superman, who I know mute the phone, just like
Yeah, it's
going to
okay.
just like going to the movies. Um, yes, I no, you be. I'm gonna throw you against the wall. Oh, I'm gonna turn you off. Yeah, there you go. Sorry about that, folks.
It's okay. It's
Um,
okay. Hi, Cast Graphics. Hi. Thank you so much for saying hello.
hi. Is he the cheesemonger guy?
I believe he is the official cheesemonger of the PGS Cast Graphics. It is so great for you to be joining us tonight. And
I
it is the
tried that.
girl
I
from the
tried
game,
that.
songwriter. Yes.
I tried that Beecher's macaroni and cheese. It's pretty good.
Hmm. Well, we
Pretty good.
certainly have to give it a try for sure. Um, yes, it is the
Uh,
girl from the game, from the Avengers game. That's right, single songwriter. Yes. But go ahead, Mikey Lito, as you were saying.
so I'm interested to see what they do with the character. I definitely have some opinions about what I think is going on, and it's unfortunate that I'm not too well versed in Islam because I'm very interested to see what the Muslim community has to say about the way that this character is depicted. So, it's just like bring it on.
Absolutely. And I think you make a good point with this. The idea of the fact that we do know that this character is Muslim. And I'm very excited for this because I think this is going to be such a positive character. I think that this young woman is going to definitely, she has no choice but to represent someone from this culture because they have made a point of saying that that is important to her culture. So it's not something that we can kind of shy away from. She does have certain values. And aside from an origin story, which I think a lot of people are wondering, you know, well, what exactly is her origin story and where does she come from? There's a lot involved in what her origin story may be. But in this particular case, I think that her inner conflict is her origin story. She comes from a wonderful family. Her religion and morals are very important to her. And this is going to create conflict in being a superhero. Um, and it certainly is very exciting to see her even take this on. But looking at the trailer, which you and I are going to do, um, I've noticed that she definitely is a young lady who has dreams and hopes like all of us do,
Right.
Mikeylito. And she definitely is somebody who is very in touch with her inner desires, so to speak, which are perfectly innocent inner desires. I think that she has these incredible aspirations and thoughts as a character from what I've seen there. But there's a great deal, you know, Mikey, there's a great deal of expectation from this character just solely from the fact that she is a young Muslim girl from Jersey City. I mean, this is really something that I think is very interesting because, as I was discussing with you before, this character is coming in with so many different iterations before her. Her association with Captain Marvel, for example, and
Right.
you know the idea that you know she was in the Avengers game, which a lot of people were not too jazzed with the fact that she was put into the game, and so there's that issue. And now she's being introduced in what it really is quite a bit of fanfare, if you ask me,
Was she
where
not a major character in the game?
she was a major character in the game, but she initially, from what I understand, and I could be incorrect on this, I believe that she was put in. I don't know whether she was originally planned to be in the game. She is a major character in the game, and from what I've been told, that the gameplay was not what people were expecting when she was put into the game because I think they were expecting a different type of experience. Now,
Hmm.
I'm assuming that she was put into the game because she was supposed to be introduced as a character so that everyone could kind of be introduced to her. And I think Kaz Graphic makes a good point. She's like a new version of Peter Parker, just updated, and I'm intrigued. It is like a new version of Peter Parker. She's in high school, and this is somebody who is a very special person. And I think that even though it is true, Mikeylito, that her origin story, we're kind of, just learning what that may or may not be, you can't deny that her character is, very unique and pretty much groundbreaking because of the nature of her character.
Right.
Um,
Yeah, I'm very interested in seeing, and this is a unique experience for a New Yorker because we don't actually acknowledge too often the presence of communities like Jersey City and Hoboken and Newark. So to incorporate those communities into the storyline is kind of exciting for me.
It certainly is. And Single Songwriter goes on to say that he watched the video game cutscenes. She wins a contest to meet the Avengers, and then the story goes on from there. And so you actually, that's right, Single Songwriter. And I think that you play as Ms. Marvel for a certain portion of the game, which I'm sure a lot of people, when they picked up the Avengers game, were not expecting to play as Miss Marvel. Perhaps they were expecting to play as some of the other characters. So it was a bit of a surprise. But what I'm also kind of curious is that they decided to introduce this character, as I've mentioned, in the Avengers game. And that, from what I understand, the situation regarding her powers may have been changed a bit. And I think that I'm not even quite sure of all of her powers. I think in the game she had powers where she could kind of like extend her arms very, very far, like
Right.
she had reach and different things like that. What I'm kind of curious is, in the trailer we see she has like a bracelet, and when she puts the bracelet on, she gets powers after putting the bracelet on. So, the jewelry tradition in her culture, which is very, very strong, very, very important, is addressed, and she gets power from that piece of jewelry, which I thought was very interesting. But Mikeylito, let's go ahead and take a look at the trailer. Let's take a look at
Fantastic.
the trailer, which I happen to handily have here. And I'm gonna slow it down just a little bit because the trailer itself it's packed with so much, which is wonderful. It's wonderful that it's packed with so much, but I'm just slowing it down just a little bit before I play it. There's no sound on the trailer. We can kind of see
Okay.
her. It's in school. She's in high school, and I heard someone say that the beginning of the trailer felt like it was something from the uh, sh- um, the Aha song "Take on Me." Here she is with her guidance counselor. And of course, she's waiting for school to end. That's that clock. I remember looking at that clock many times. Um,
And she's one of us. She's one of the goof people.
she is absolutely, yes, she's definitely all goof people. Absolutely. And she has the female gaze, which I love. That really got my attention, Mikey. Oh, goodness. Marvel Studios presents.
Now, this is where I thought they're making it a real street level show, and of course they're working her religion into it.
Absolutely. Her mother is obviously in the film and is important because we've seen her there. She mentions she's a brown girl from Jersey, Jersey City. And there's the bracelet. There's that miraculous bracelet that when she wears that bracelet, she has powers. Although, Mikey, I'm not quite sure what the powers are. We're going to find out, but I'm curious as to what it is. Have you heard
Well,
anything about what her powers might be?
I've read different things. I know that in the comics, like you said earlier, that there was some like stretching ability, and I heard, I don't know if I'm sure of this or not, that she might be a shapeshifter. Well, you
Oh,
just saw
wow.
stretching right there.
Right. And we're going to watch this again. We're not
Okay.
just going to watch it once. We're going to play it again and just kind of like get a second look because there's a lot. And it slowed down, Mikey. I had to just slow it down just a little bit. There she is kind of like on a lamp pole. I love that. God knows. It's
So
very,
there's a
very
couple of
interesting.
different things. At, uh, at one point in the trailer, her mother says to her, "This is not you."
Right.
And to me, I think there is some conflict between tradition and modernity.
Yes.
It's her growing up as an average young American girl in the 21st century versus the tradition of her religion and her culture. And so I'm very interested to see how they develop that.
And it's interesting in the scene here, we even see another young woman. I don't know what religion she is because she could be any religion wearing a headscarf. That could be any religion, as you guys already know out there. You could be Orthodox and any religion and wear a headscarf. So it's not just, let's say, the Muslim religion, but um, uh, there was another girl who was with her who was also wearing a headscarf, but she does not wear one. And,
Hmm.
it could be like at a certain step in your life where you decide to wear it or not. You don't have to. It's not a requirement for every person. But she definitely is boy crazy. So this is what this is. I know I was in high school. I did, I
And
certainly
I'm
was,
also,
and I went to an all girls school, so you know how that was.
oh, you poor child.
Yes.
That explains a lot, RM.
Oh, does it?
um,
Now she sees this. It looks like a. Is it a costume that? Uh, m-
I think that was
uh,
a representation of Captain Marvel.
okay, okay. So that's where she gets the idea to make her costume look like that. So she does admire Captain Marvel. She's a fan of Captain Marvel, which they've mentioned, and that is kind of important. There's the bracelet. I just love that part.
And
It
it's
looks
kind of
very
interesting that you keep mentioning the bracelets because bracelets are a big deal with young girls anyway, aren't they?
They are, and from what I understand, the gift of jewelry and bracelets and gold uh, is very important culturally for this young lady. And yes, they are very important. Like jewelry is a big thing for me,
I think the
but
stretching is coming up.
okay. So we kind of see her. Wow, that's pretty cool. She can kind of jump around. She has the ability to jump rather far, and that is very interesting. And single songwriter makes a point saying that why is it not showing it? A Muslim from India is very different from, let's say, a Muslim from Jordan or Iraq, and that is very true. And we
There you
acknowledge that.
go.
That was what you just showed. That was the stretching, right, Mikey?
Yes, that's what I was talking about.
Okay. And it also looks like she has, like some powers to like repel, she can repel harmful things or maybe have like a push ability. It's like almost like force powers.
And
Um,
I'm super excited if it's a street level show. That is really important to me right now.
well, let's talk about that, Mikey, because you were talking about that yesterday to me, and explain what you mean when you talk about street level versus sort of cosmic level.
Uh, just things that are happening in the immediate area to where she lives. So things that are happening in her neighborhood or in her city, as opposed to say her being in Jersey City 1 minute and being in Mumbai the next minute. So, something like that. Uh, she's a young teenage girl. I wouldn't imagine seeing her on a global level at this point in her superhero career.
Yeah, I have to agree with you on that. I think that, I hope that they keep it to something local, something that needs to be done in her neighborhood, or maybe even at the school, at the high school level, where, that's something that she can kind of focus on and she doesn't have to worry about necessarily like saving the world. And it became a little confusing because they do kind of like allude about, that how could I, save the world? And I thought to myself, well, she shouldn't have to save the world. She's only a teenager,
Right.
But Braden Venezuela, hello, Braden Venezuela, um, says the bracelets are a beacon like the 10 rings. Combined with other artifacts, they unleash something that will attack Earth like Thanos. Wow, that
Okay,
would be.
so it could have cosmic implications, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it's not a street level show. Because, for example, if she can prevent the bracelets becoming combined with the other artifacts, it can still be in the local area that she's in and what have you. So that doesn't necessarily concern me. Hey Tom, how you doing?
Hi, Tom. No worries, Tom. We are all goof people, Tom. But you were saying, Mikeylito.
Yeah, I'm not really concerned that she keeps talking about things on a cosmic level, and with her idolizing Captain Marvel, it's very possible that that's what she's thinking. But it could still be a street level show if they can prevent these artifacts if she can prevent the artifacts from becoming combined with the bracelets that she's wearing. And there's still a lot that's going on in phase 4 that still needs to be developed, and we can talk about that a little bit later.
Certainly. And I think that it even does say something, and correct me if I'm wrong, in this trailer, part of the words, let's say on the screen, that some of the title words say something about the fate of the cosmos is in her hands. I just want to look at it one more time. And guys who are watching, thanks for bearing with us. We're kind of just breaking down this trailer and just, analyzing it and looking at, because there is a lot in this trailer. There's a lot, Mikey.
Hmm.
that they really packed in. It's a very, very good trailer. This could be a teen movie. I think it's definitely geared towards teens. Um, you know, as far as I'm concerned, I think every teenager, every kid, let's say ages 8 through 15 will be watching this. It's going to be
Now,
heavily watched.
now some of what we're seeing right now, people are comparing to Doctor Strange.
Oh. Well, it says the future. It said the future was the first title line that we saw. The future, and then is in her hand. So that could mean a lot of things. Maybe it's the future of something that is local, like you said, Mikeylito. But it certainly is. First of all, I got to say, I do like the effects. It looks really good. It's like,
Yeah.
it's kind of like brightly colored. You can easily see that there's some sort of power, especially the ones where she's standing and is kind of floating in a on top of whatever that thing is. I'm gonna slow it down. This is
I
I'm
wasn't
just
sure they
enjoying this
gave us a
trailer.
date, but I see they gave us a date. It's June 8th.
Oh, did they?
Yes.
Okay, so this is the super slow version. And we should be able to see even more here. And as I said, the beginning felt very aha. So it's geared towards teenagers. I remember when that song "Take on Me" came out, and it sounded like "Take on Me" from Aha. And it really, actually, they struck a chord with me because I said, "Oh wow, that I remember that." And so now it immediately sparked my interest. I thought it was very playful and fun to do that, to have the word balloons there. And this is something else
Well,
that I wanted.
that shows she's a daydreamer.
Yes, I suppose it does. But I also wanted to know whether or not you thought, Mikey, whether this means that they're trying to push or encourage young women to get comics by seeing these word balloons, by, looking at this character to get more interest. Will they make the comics available again? Will they reissue? Will it be something that you can buy, and pick up? Do you think that this is, an attempt to make young people more interested in sort of like a graphic novel version of Miss Marvel as well?
Well, I'll tell you something about the senior citizen. It makes me want to go to the comic book store and start looking at not just this one in particular, but just in general, the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Makes me want to go to the comic book store and just investigate what is available out there. And we do have a local one in town here, and what have you. And now that winter is just about over, I'm definitely going to be going down to Main Street. Yes, there is a street called Main Street here, uh, and taking a look at what they have available.
You
Because
know,
so many of the long term viewers are wrapped up with what happens in the comics versus what happens in these shows, and that's not necessarily a problem for me.
Yeah, and I might have to tag along on you with that trip, Mikeylito. Brandon Venezuela says Phase 4, quite frankly, is all over the place. I'm pretty stoked to see how they include Miss Marvel in the Avengers. And we have Latoya T with us. Hello, Latoya T from Crumble
Hi.
Tulip, and a very good friend and member of the PGS. Latoya T, always good to see you. Latoya T says, I'd say absolutely, and I sure hope so. Okay, thank you for sharing that. I think that they are trying to encourage young women to be more involved in the comic scene with Ms. Marvel, for sure. Darth Plato says hello, Darth Plato, to you as well. And he says he's okay with the trailer. Yeah, I thought it was good too. And we also have single songwriter mentioning, I was a daydreamer like her when I was young. Um, Thank you for sharing all of your comments, everybody. We do appreciate it. I'm also very glad that they're showing, the Muslim religion in a positive light. And, that is something that I think is really important that we do see. Um,
Now
because
this
we
is
haven't really.
Captain Marvel here
Oh, so
that
that is
she's
that I'm
looking.
looking at. It's like a
Yes.
costume. Let me just go back to it because we were kind of alluding to that before. So it must be right after this scene here. Um, so this,
Yes.
okay. So that is, oh, look, and you can see on the right hand side Mikeylito, it says AVE. It probably says Avengers or something like that, right?
Marvel, Marvel.
Oh, I'm sorry, Marvel. Thank you so much. It says Marvel, and so clearly, we can see that that's what she's looking at, and there, they show her in her costume. People were saying that it's cosplay. Do you think that's what the mother is saying? It's not you, her wearing that
No,
costume?
that is not what I think the mother is saying. I think her mother finds out what it is that she's doing, and she's saying to her, "This is not, the person that you're trying to be. It's not really you."
Yeah, yeah, I think that's very interesting. And I think that you make a good point. Tom Jr. Jackson says he's interested in checking out the comics. And Darth Plato says that he daydreams like that right now. We are all daydreamers and we are all goof people. Darth Plato says that Captain Marvel is a modern day scarecrow, scares everyone away. Well, something that is something that I think was it a Mikey, was it a good idea for them to associate her so closely with Captain Marvel? Does Captain Marvel have any effect over the appeal of Miss Marvel, do you think, to fans?
Well, Captain Marvel certainly was a very divisive character. I'm still not exactly certain why, other than people trying to attach Brie Larson's personal opinions with the character. Uh, I do not do that. Otherwise, I could never watch another episode of the Cosby Show. But I tend to take each performance and each story on its own basis, and so I'm curious exactly uh, what Captain Marvel. In other words, how is the world in the Marvel Cinematic Universe? How are they looking upon Captain Marvel? Do they see her as the person that saved them from Thanos, or what? We still don't know a whole lot about how the world views post snap
Right.
or post blip. So we haven't really got a lot of information about that. And actually, if we wanted to mix in the Eternals with that, uh, I know a lot of people thought that there should have been some uh, unbelievable reaction after Arisham appeared in the clouds at the end. Oh, a lot of spoilers here, people. Sorry about that. Uh, in the clouds at the end of Eternals, but yet and still, uh, if we are to believe the Disney Plus timeline, Hawkeye occurred after the Eternals, and there was absolutely no reference to Arisham whatsoever.
Yeah, you make a good point. And as of course, I just wanted the celestial to emerge from the earth. So, I was on a whole nother plane altogether when it came to
But that's what makes me love you.
Oh gosh, yeah, I was on a completely different uh latitude, but thank you so much for saying that, Mikeylito. Single songwriter says in the video game it was her dad that told her this is not you, but he meant it for her to go and be that superhero because she has a gift. Thank you, single songwriter, for that. And Darth Plato says, correct. Don't judge a movie on the actress or actor, etc.
Darth,
Thank you.
Darth, I have a new motto: watch content, form opinion.
Absolutely. I think that is a very good bit of advice for all of us. Watch content, form opinion. It sounds very English. Um,
Well,
and
because from the very beginning of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, it has never ever stuck completely to what has going on in the comics. Okay, assistant, thank you. Um, it it has never followed what has gone on in the comments in the comics. So therefore, I don't expect it to for her to have necessarily the same powers that she had in the comics, or for things to happen exactly the same way that they happen in the comics. We trusted Kevin Feige in phases 1 through 3. We should just judge phase 4 based on what he's doing right at this moment.
Absolutely. And I certainly am going to follow that advice, or at least try to, Mikeylito. Latoya T says, I can't wait to see how the greater Muslim community receives this show. The community can sometimes be very particular, and rightfully so, as it's been depicted in the worst ways for so long. I agree, Latoya T.
So do
This
I.
is like a breath of fresh air for the Muslim community's depiction. And I'm just so happy to see a positive depiction. And of course, as you stated, I'm not quite sure how it will be received. This is something to think about. But I do think that whoever made this trailer was very careful as to what they put in the trailer and how and what context things were put into the trailer. And speaking of context, in regards to her powers, what I was curious about are, well, what powers would be appropriate for a young woman like this to have? We certainly don't want to see her with, inappropriate powers. I know that sounds crazy, but I don't think it's so crazy. I think that, the idea where she can protect people with her powers is very important. Perhaps the idea where she does have the stretch ability is very important to be able to get people out of harm's way or make sure something bad doesn't happen. So it is something that I thought about, and I said, I sure hope they do right by her when it comes to her abilities, but also the story. Mikeylito, what do you think this story is going to focus on, in your opinion?
Well, I'm curious. Well, there's one scene, and when it comes up, I'll point it out because we're coming up to it.
Well,
But
Darth Plato says post-snap would have collapsed the world. Thank you, Darth Plato, for the World Society. Thank you for mentioning that to us.
well, based on what happened in the Falcon and Winter Soldier, that's exactly what happened.
Yes. And of course, that is absolutely what would be going on there. Okay, so let's see. Darth Plato says, Miss Marvel to Captain Marvel. What's the difference between me and you? And Tom Jr. Jackson says, this is a very smart way of watching content. Okay. And Single Songwriter says, I think it will do well because it is a streaming series where they can go deeper into a character instead of a 90-minute or 2-hour movie where they need to get to the plot fast. And Brandon Venezuela says, in the Eternals screenplay, it is noted that only the Eternals could see Arishem, the judge. If everyone could see him in the clouds, they would collectively freak out and start saying their Hail Marys.
Right.
Okay.
But that isn't necessarily what I believe. I just heard it said that he appeared in the clouds and everybody saw him. So I don't know whether everybody saw him or not. Based on what you're saying, then what happened in Hawkeye would make sense. Now, I think we're coming up on the scene. And then I have an important question to ask at the end of
Yes.
all of this.
I love that. That looks really cool. Now we see what looks like a police line.
Right. And they're pulling it
And
away.
these look like people coming. We don't know who these people are.
Or where they're going, although it looks like some kind of church or whatever.
And Darth Plato says the scene with the Muslims at prayer showing that Islam is important in their lives
What's
is a
happening right
positive.
there? This is the scene that I'm talking about. What's
Right.
happening there?
Yeah, this is a good question. It looks like a whole bunch of people are kind of moving
Evacuating or
back
something.
to it. Let me just, it's on a different screen. That's why it's taking me so long to get
It's
back to
okay.
it. So let's just, okay. That poor circle. Okay. What does it feel like? He says. And I guess she says, she responds, cosmic. It looks incredible. The songs that they chose for the trailer are also kind of catchy. Now, this is the starting that segment, Mikeylito again.
Right. And that looks like a motorcade.
And that looks like the mosque that they're going into. She's running.
and it's
Okay,
right
that
there.
scene. What is that?
Yeah, I have no idea what's happening there, and
Is it
I'm curious right at this point in time, wondering what is happening. What
well, first of all, what we're seeing is not in the United States. Is it, Mikeylito?
it could be, it could not be. It probably is not.
I wonder if it's about the partition.
I don't know.
Do you know what I'm referring to? Because
No,
it looks like people are traveling or moving away and they're escaping some sort of violent fire or something.
right.
And I
I
wonder if this
definitely
has to
agree
do
with that.
with some kind of history. I'm not quite sure what it is, but
Oh, I never thought about that. It's a historical reference. It could be.
it looks like the partition to me. I could be wrong. I mean, the partition is one of the most. If she is from Pakistan, is she from Pakistan? She is, right? Mikeylito.
Uh, I believe so. I'm not exactly sure. I know Kamran Pasha was saying that she was Pakistani.
And so the partition was a sort
Oh,
of like a
now I know what you're
forceful
referring to. India and
migration,
Pakistan.
yeah, of Muslims to leave India. And I guess I could be messing this all up, but it
No,
involved
you
the
could.
fact
That
that India had Muslim religion and they had, first of all, they had like a bazillion religions. And there was some sort of conflict, and there was this decree that Great Britain was involved in about parting. This, it's called the partition, where it was one of the largest migrations of individuals ever on Earth, where millions of people were moved out of India to Pakistan if they were Muslim,
that makes a
and
lot of sense.
the it was very disruptive. It completely, had a terrible impact for all the people involved. People were killed along the way, and it was quite a traumatic event. And I wonder if this is what this is about, but perhaps not. If they included the partition in this trailer, Mikeylito, I would be astonished, quite astonished, if that's what that is. But that's what I see when I see this. Maybe it's not the partition, but it looks like it's a pilgrimage and they're running from fire. It's not sort of like, going to Mecca necessarily, is it?
Well, it's certain. Yeah, it's certainly some kind of migration, and yeah, I definitely don't think it would be something like going to Mecca. What you're saying about the partition, that makes a lot of sense to me. So here is my big question.
Yes.
Since Kamala Khan is a daydreamer, is she an unreliable narrator?
Yes, she is probably. Yes. She certainly is, or could be, an unreliable narrator. And Brandon Venezuela says it looks like Colombia. And I agree with you on that, Brandon. The topography certainly has some similarities, certainly. Darth Plato says 1948, which is when the partition took place. And eventually initially, this could be also wrong, but it was done to prevent a civil war. But then there was a war afterwards. Anyway, I believe. And Darth Plato says the India-Pakistan partition. Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. Now,
Yeah,
I'm
I
sorry. Go ahead.
understood what he meant, but but it's curious that he expounded on that because wasn't that also the year of the Palestine partition, 1948?
Probably, and I don't know the answer to that, Mikeylito, but maybe someone does know. Single songwriter says it could also be a celebration. Yes, it could be. So that's something to think about. Someone else says 1949. And
Okay.
single songwriter says people carry torches to a bonfire. Absolutely. That's what that could be. Um, or a funeral. But it
Yeah. Well,
certainly has grabbed our attention, right, Mikeylito? You made a point of
it
mentioning it.
it grabbed my attention immediately the first time I saw the trailer.
And I'm sorry, Darth Plato says that it used to be called the British Raj. When the British left, it was partitioned between three countries. Exactly. And thank you, Darth Plato. The line of people on both sides of the bonfire or fire, and Someone is saying people were set on fire. Well, that is terrifying. During the partition, I know that happened. I'm not quite sure if what we're seeing, Mikeylito, is a happy event.
I'm not either. I wasn't sure what it was. Uh, it seems probable that it's probably a flashback of some kind.
Let me put it on regular speed because slowing it down kind of takes away some of the dramatic
Well,
effect.
it's very quick at normal speed. It's very
Yeah.
quick.
And I acknowledge what you're saying as well. Why is it not doing it? All right. So it will be quick. And we can see, yeah, they're kind of hightailing it out of there.
Mm-hmm.
That's what that looked like to me.
It's like they took a whole lot of set pieces and edited them all together for the trailer.
Now, how on earth would that play? Well, you know, as we've said, we're just speculating, guys. We don't know for sure what that's about. You know, whether that is actually about the partition, who's to say? I was just
And notice there was a world history book on her desk at the
yes.
beginning.
Let's go back to that. Yes, and I do see the world history book there, and she's certainly is very important, and that could be an Easter egg referring to something that happened. I don't know if the partition is in American history books, Mikeylito, meaning that when I say that it's not in American history books, what I mean is I don't know whether the partition is taught in schools in the United States, public schools.
Yeah, for our global viewers, they have a tendency in the United States to separate things into American history and world history. So
And what
it would have been yeah, go ahead.
I'm so sorry. What I'm thinking, what if the bracelet is somehow related to that event? I mean, I don't know. It was such a traumatic event. It was such a traumatic event that affected the lives of millions of people. They said 1 million people died just in the Exodus alone of that event. What if something happened there? You know, it's something to think about. And now we have to find out, Mikey.
Exactly. Well, this is exactly what I meant earlier about tradition confronting modernity, because to me, it's pretty obvious that her background and her heritage have a lot to do with her story, as well it should.
And Maximilian Radakovich says, pretty sure the flashbacks to the old country are just going to be explaining the bracelet's origin or explaining where it came from and ended up in Kamala's home. And I think that would be spectacular. This is what we were talking about. You know, you want to have an origin story. You, of course, want to have figure out what her powers are and that internal and external conflict. We already knew what her internal conflict would be, is her religion and morals and faith and family. We know that what her powers are more or less. The origin story, it's very good suggestion, Maximilian, that might be the origin story. And we're still trying to figure out what her external conflict will be. We didn't exactly see a villain except for those people that looked like they were kind of walking around in the cars and you know, coming to get someone. You know, so I'm kind of curious as to how that's going to play for this young lady. And Darth Plato says, I'm sorry, did you want to say something?
No, go.
Okay. Darth Plato says, I never saw it. History of Indian subcontinent is not widely discussed. Britain is different. Absolutely. And Tom Jr. Jackson says, if you are interested in checking out more Miss Marvel, check out Volume 1 of her graphic novel here. Thank you, Tom. I mean, if her conflict is her faith and the bracelet is powered by faith or something, that could work into it. It certainly could. Like if she had a loss of faith, which I don't think she is going to have. But if she had a loss of faith, would it mean that the bracelets don't work? You know, these are the types of questions that I think would be very intriguing for a character like this. Darth Plato says, I saw History of Indian Subcontinent at Berkeley, but not before that. Well, thank you, guys. Mikey, is there anything else that you're expecting to see from this incredible series? It looks so exciting.
Well, I just want to remind people that you know, as far as I'm concerned, anyway, the MCU TV series are more character pieces than they are like big bang, slam bang action pieces. The movies are the big action pieces. I think all the television series are meant to be character pieces, taking a character and letting us know a little bit more about them so that when they appear on the big stage, we know what their motivations are. So far, at least in my mind, every single one of the MCU TV series have been that. Now, when we get down to something like Secret Wars or whatever they're calling it, um, then that may be different. But for the time being, all of the MCU TV series, with the possible exception of What If, have been character pieces.
Yeah, you make a good point of this, and it is something for us to think about going forward as we're looking at this series. And I think that this is going to be something, it's clearly something we've never really seen before in a TV series. With a Marvel twist, I think that we're really in for quite a treat. And perhaps her story may not be like what you said. It says June 8th, Mikey,
Yes.
is when it starts to stream. So that's just literally a week or two after the Kenobi series starts. But I think that we're going to be seeing, some really incredible scenes of this young lady really pretty much tackling the local issues that happen. Like I'm concerned, and I'm pretty sure that it looked like some of those people who were in those cars went into the mosque. It looked like it might have been the mosque. I could be wrong, but the shape of the outside of it, sometimes they have the beautiful ornate building on the outside. I thought it might be.
Yeah,
Um,
I agree.
and thank you, Darth Plato, for the information on Poland being annexed in the 1700s. Partitioned is what he said, also right out of existence. And Single Songwriter says, I kind of prefer streaming series to dive deeper into characters. Well, I think that this character needed a streaming series. This would have been a very poor introduction, as you mentioned, Mikeylito. We
Right.
don't want to see the same thing happen with Miss Marvel. Excuse me. Yes, that happened with Captain Marvel. We don't want to see a repeat of that. We want to see a much richer character. And even just from this trailer alone, I get a much richer sense of this young girl and how important her culture is and the society is and different things than I've seen in a lot of trailers that we've been given in the past. Like this one was amazing.
I mentioned yesterday when we were talking about Trek that uh, dramatic tension comes from conflict between certain things in the story. So here we see America's perception of general perception of Muslims versus what it actually is. Uh, Her religion versus how she practices her religion. Any conflicts that her mother, I don't know if her father appears in this series or not, but any conflicts between her mother and her as to how she's behaving. As I mentioned earlier, modernity versus tradition. So all of those things get dramatic tensions to them. And I definitely agree with this that it does have an Agents of Shield. It has this Defenders saga kind of feel to it also. That's why I keep emphasizing street level. It has a very street level feel to me. The only counterpoint to that is that she keeps talking on a cosmic level, but that could be like a diversion. So, you know, we'll see. Or that could be part of the dramatic conflict also. So,
Well, I think, and this may be completely untrue, but from what I've seen from this trailer and from how I've seen that when she puts that bracelet on, it's almost like she gets transformed. You remember like there was a glow and then she kind of like fell backwards
right.
and it was like this dream world that she had in her mind, all of a sudden it was like she was transformed to that as becoming this character with powers. And
And
perhaps
almost like a trance came over her face. So,
yes, perhaps that's what she means by this cosmic power, because for her, perhaps she feels like it's something from the universe that's doing it
hmm
versus, from another source. And I'm not quite sure whether it's important to the Miss Marvel character, the cosmic being. Maybe it's a spiritual part of what she believes in as well. I don't know, but
Yeah, because we are attaching our definition of cosmic to what she's saying, not her definition of cosmic. Could be something completely different.
it could be. It could be. And, culturally, maybe we'll learn a little bit about that. I'm sure there are so many stories that have not been told from her culture that we don't know, that it would be great to kind of discover that in this series with this young lady here in her story, which starts June 8th. And Darth Plato says, I see no reason not to. I'm supporting the series. Well, thank you, Darth Plato, for supporting us by being here in the chat today. Mikeylito, do you have any last thoughts on this amazing trailer for Ms. Marvel? And do you think Disney will do a good job?
Uh, yes, I do.
Are you still
And
there, Mikey? Kind of broke up
future.
just a little bit.
I'm
No.
to oh
Yes, can you hear me, Mikey?
yes, I can.
Okay, can you just repeat your thoughts that you were saying and whether or
I
not
said
Disney?
I'm very much looking forward to the series coming up in the future in June, and all the content that Marvel is doing in the next few weeks and months. I know we have Moon Knight coming up at the end of the month that I'm totally fascinated by because I have no idea what's going on. But I'm looking forward to that. I think that I don't associate Disney with Marvel content. I mean, I know they're owned by Disney, but Marvel has been pretty independent up until now. Until I see evidence that Disney is interfering, I'm not even going to bring Disney into the conversation. Uh, I have trust in Kevin Feige and the Marvel team, so until proven otherwise, I'm all in on Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Excellent. And I have to say, I share the sentiments. I think Disney is going to just do such an outstanding job for this young woman. And we're finally going to see her, at her peak, reach her, reach fruition here. I think we're going to see an incredible young woman who discovers these incredible powers. As Single Songwriter says, the moment she clicks the bracelet, she enters a multiverse and her daydreaming stops, because now she really is in a multiverse. Things are going to be so different for her. And we're not only just going to see her experience in using her powers, but we're also going to see part of her culture, and how that's going to play a role in in her story. We'll find out a little bit more about the history of her family, perhaps. And this really is going to be just really a fantastic display, as far as I'm concerned, of a cultural experience for all of us. So it's going to be a culturally significant Marvel character as far as I'm concerned, and I really do like that as well. So I think Disney will be able to pull this off.
Yeah,
I think they can give us a good Miss Marvel. And I certainly am looking forward to seeing what they can do. S Beam, hello S Beam, says I'll watch the series just to see where it goes, but I probably won't be too vocal on my channel unless it surprises me. And I do want to say that I am not surprised, for those of you who are watching this on the replay or live, if this, is obviously a story of a young girl, and that may not be something that would appeal to you. It does seem to be focused for young adults, and that is perfectly fine, like, that it is. But I can understand how, for many of you, may crave a more adult version of a Marvel series, and that is fine too. So this might be, one of the first times that you might say, well, it is orientated for perhaps for more of a young adult crowd. Tom Jr. Jackson says, Darth Plato, this show just looks like fun. I support it. And Darth Plato says, Miss Marvel crossover with Grogu. I would say nay.
see,
I'm
she
going to
would say
say,
nay, and I would say yay because I miss Grogu.
well, I am still waiting for my Grogu animated series. That's what I want. I want an animated series of Grogu, and I want that to be like 7 or 8 seasons, or just Grogu going crazy because he lives for 900 years. Let's go ahead and see some animated fun with Grogu. And I'd actually prefer it to be his years in the Jedi Temple. Like, oh my gosh, what was it like to train this child? Oh my gosh, So I want it to be fun and entertaining and goofy, but then every once in a while you're like, whoa, Grogu, whoa, let's go get him. Like it'll be interesting to see that for me. So that's what I want to see in regards to a young Grogu learning his way through the Jedi Temple, because he'd been there for like 20 years or so. So maybe longer. It'd be great to see that, I think. But I do just want to thank everybody who is here in the chat. Thank you so much for coming and watching Mikeylito and I, talk about Miss Marvel, this character, which is groundbreaking. I just want to thank everybody for tuning in. I do appreciate you being here. Mikeylito, thank you as well. And Mikeylito, where can people find you?
Well, thank you for inviting me back. I really appreciate it. We're starting to churn out more content on my channel, so keep an eye on my social media, particularly Twitter. You can find me at MikeylitoLIVE. I'm either here on YouTube or on Twitter. And when I'm going to appear on YouTube, you can see me there. This is the address for my YouTube channel. It's a direct address. Just go to Mikeylito.live. And you can always read my content on my leisure blog at Mikeylito.blog.
Excellent. And as you all know, you can always find me here on Positive Fandom on my YouTube channel, but you can also find me on Twitch, one word, Positive Fandom. On Monday nights, except for last night, I usually stream with Lorena Creole, Mandy Summers, and
That's because I mentioned it.
and Nina Infinity on Toxic Femmes. Usually on Wednesdays and Thursdays, you can find me on the 1/6 Scale Man Network on Say What, or on Uncivilized Scandals with Lael Rockwell. On Tuesdays and Thursdays, sometimes you can find me streaming with Lorena Creole as we do our Reacher series, and our upcoming Friday night at 7 p.m. part 1 of the Bridgerton series will be on my channel. We're reviewing season 2 at 7 p.m. and Lorena will be doing the second half of the series on her channel on Saturday night. And sometimes on the weekends, you can find me on the Burnett Network, streaming with Robert Meyer Burnett and Lael Rockwell. On Sunday mornings, you can find me on my live show, my Sunday brunch show, 10:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, where we do all the parlay in the fandom. And on Friday afternoons at 12, you can find me on Midnight's Edge in the morning with Tom and Andre and Cameron Pasha. So
You should watch people. It can get exciting.
It can get exciting. Thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in. Tom Jr. Jackson, we are all goof people, my collaborator and moderator. Thank you
subscribe,
so much.
Subscribe.
Yes, please subscribe to my channel, guys. I so appreciate it. There's plenty more content coming up. And I so love hearing you guys, your opinions. I so do enjoy that. Thank you, Darth Plato. Hit the like, please, guys. Share and subscribe. We so appreciate you all out there. And for those of you who are out there, no matter what time it is, day it is, and wherever you are in the galaxy, please always remember to be kind.
Bye.
Bye.